Hi and welcome. So this video, it just popped in my head. I figured because I've been rearranging my bookshelves. I've been weeding out those books that don't belong or um, like I think I mentioned in my previous video about my collections or books, all these things. Even my yarn stash is like everything is curated. I know I just started talking. I have to take a sip of coffee, but it's so good. Okay, everything is curated. I don't keep anything I don't love. I don't keep anything I don't use. I'm just wired like that because anything that I don't love or use just occupies space in my brain, and it irritates me. So last weekend I started going through my bookshelves, and I started with somewhere over there. I and I went through my books, and I weeded out quite quite a substantial amount of books, and a lot of them were my textbooks from my natural health consulting course. I have a diploma in natural health consulting, which is it would be like the LPN equivalent of in natural health. So not naturopathic doctor, but like at an LPN level, or even an RN, no, maybe even an RN level of natural health. And I still had these textbooks kicking around, and some of them I kept. No, I didn't keep any of them. I lie. Many, I don't need textbooks. Not even for sentimental value. Um, so I weeded those out, and they were textbooks on like introduction to alternative medicine, introduction to homeopathy, introduction to herbal medicine, like those kind of textbooks. And then I kept like the really good, the the better books on the same subjects. So I weeded out a bunch of books. Then I went into my self-help, my cookbooks, all that kind of stuff. Pulled out the ones that don't spark joy, I don't use, I don't refer to, I don't care, those kind of things. And then I went through my metaphysical books. And it occurred to me today, because what I do is I do a cull, I put it in a box, I leave it alone for about a week, then I go back and I go through the box again to make sure that something I wanted to keep didn't slip in, or I give myself a chance to change my mind. And the idea for this video came from the fact that I keep pulling out the same books. So this is probably, I don't know how many times I've tried to cull these books in the last few years, and they always make that final cut to stay here, to stay in my home, when it's time to get rid of them. The first one is not even a book, it's a box. And I'm thinking, well, you know what, maybe I should just repurpose this box, because right now it still has some things in it that I don't use, but it's called The Little Box of Inner Calm. I've had this a very, very long time. I want to say this thing is older than my kids, so I must have gotten this in the discount shelf at Chapters, which is Canadian Barnes and Nobles. Now it's called Indigo. And it originally came with a little bell, which sits on one of my altars. Cone incense, which is long gone, long burnt, consumed. A booklet, which is still in the box. Glass beads, which are in with my beads, prayer beads. A mandala, and a prayer. It's a box in the shape of a book. It's a really nice box. It's by Barron's, and Barron's does a lot of that generic metaphysical self-help kind of publishing. This is what the box looks like on the inside. The mandala is still there. The prayer is still there. The book is still exactly where it's been this whole time. I don't even think I've ever opened up this book. No, I've never seen this in my life. I've never opened the book. And this box makes it into the giveaway pile once a year. And I think this is probably the 20th time that it survives the giveaway box. And what I'm thinking is, clearly there is something about the design of this box. Look, it still has the plastic. You know what I mean? Come on. I'm crazy. It still has this hard, clear plastic. And these two scrolls in here. And I'm thinking maybe it's time I actually repurpose this box, because clearly I'm not willing to, you know, clearly I cannot, I don't feel like giving it away. You know, clearly there's something about this box that sparks joy, and I'm just going to have to repurpose the box and use it for something. Maybe I could even store phone incense in it, or I don't know. So the little box of inner calm stays. Next is, I'm a Reiki master, so I have lots of Reiki tech, like, you know, I have my Reiki textbooks that are specific to my lineage. I'm a Reiki master of the school of Usui Shikiryoho, and I'm sorry, I'm looking for one of the books that I said. Oh, it's on my desk over there. So once a year I go through my Reiki textbooks, and one of them is already back on the shelf because, as dated as they are now, one of them is signed by the authors who I got to meet. I'm not ready to give away my Reiki textbooks. So it's a good thing that they're like this thin. They don't take up much room. They don't take up any room up here, which is why I decided to keep them. They're not even in this pile. They went straight from the giveaway box back on the shelf. Done. The next book, so like that's why I started talking about, well, I'm a Reiki master, and I'm a Reiki master teacher. It's now, wow, it's 20 years in November. It'll make 20 years in November that I got my master teacher. And so I have books on not color magic, on color healing. And so I went through those books and decided which ones I was going to keep. And hang on, because I think I forgot one in the box. Well, it turns out I'm wrong. I did not cull a color therapy book. But it's one of those color therapy books from, like, it's an old book, probably from the 70s or whatever. And it's because, you know, I do incorporate color therapy in the whole energy healing situation, energy medicine situation, that I hang on to it. But this book was culled. And this one, it's published by Llewellyn, and Chakra for Beginners, A Guide to Balancing Your Chakra Energies. I just recently, I just culled it off my shelf, one, because I find it, it's alright. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't have any other books on chakras, you might find this one interesting. But I have other books I prefer. And as a matter of fact, I really already know that I prefer this one I just got. See, to my right, I have the new books in my life. Oh my God, people, sorry. I saw this one on Shamanic Arawak Priestess's channel, and I ordered it right away, and it is incredible. What I love about this book is that it's a handbook. It's a healer's handbook. It could be a handbook for someone who is not a healer, or it could be a handbook, and it is a handbook that a healer can use. I think it's great. It's a quick reference just to give you some starting points. You know, when either dealing with yourself, doing your own chakra healing, and there's behavioral changes, food and diet, essential oils, crystals, yoga, and meditation. I think it's a really, you know, just you know, the little scan that I did when I received it a couple of days ago, this replaces this one easily. This one, bye-bye. So even though this one has been called many times before, this one is going for real this time. So far, just one. Like, I'm not going to talk to you about, like, random cookbooks and, like, stuff like that, because unless it's interesting, I'm not going to show it to you. The next book has been pulled off my shelf numerous times, at least in the last 5 years. And every time it ends up staying. And it doesn't, I don't have the dust jacket. I never had it with the dust jacket. It's just a hardback cover book. It's Witch, A Magical Journey by Fiona Horn. This one I even have stickers on it. This one has sentimental value. This one is because my husband, early on in our relationship, he had gone to a used bookstore and he had seen this there, a secondhand bookstore, and he bought it for me because he thought I might be interested, both because of the author and the subject matter. And he wrote a note in it for me, and so even though it's not the magic I practice, I'm hanging on to it because it's sentimental. So I'm going to stop pulling it off my shelf because this one's clearly not going anywhere. So that's Witch, A Magical Journey by Fiona Horn. If you know me for 5 minutes, you know that it really irritates me when I see magic spelled with a K. But anyway, keeping. The next book is one that's has aged on my shelf. The paper's a nice parchmenty color, and this one gets pulled off my shelf, thrown in the giveaway box, in the donate box, whatever, and then this is probably the second or third time I've gone and rescue it. It's The Complete Guide to Psychic Development by Cassandra Eason. So the reason why this one got rescued again, sometimes I do like a book that is, just like the new chakra healing one that I got. This one, that's a handbook. You know what I mean? Sometimes I just like to scan a handbook and be reminded of things I may have forgotten, practices that I may have picked up and then forgotten about that I want to pick up again. And the real clincher for this one is that she spells magic the normal way, I-C, instead of I-C-K. And yeah, I'm keeping this one. I'm not ready to let this one go this time, so this one stays. The next book is one that I picked up at Powell's bookstore in Portland, Oregon. And I love Powell's. Before even going to the physical store in Portland, I used to order a lot of books from Powell's, especially in the early 2000s, where you could order like 12, 15 books. It came in a mail bag. They sent it media mail, even to Canada. $3.95 shipping. A dozen books. Incredible. But this one I picked up. And this is A Magical Universe, and it's the best of Magical Blend magazine articles. This one goes in the giveaway pile once a year. And every time I do I do the last sweep before going out the front door, this one gets rescued. So this is being rescued yet again. The year on this one is 1996. So this was the early days of when witchcraft suddenly became mainstream, like So I'm hanging on to this one. The next book is the second book. I have to show you the first book. Hang on. So this one's the first book I got, Real Magic, and this is nice. This is classic. All right, this is by Isaac Bonowitz. Look at this picture. Look at this aesthetic, this early 1970s aesthetic, or rather 1970 aesthetic. I love this book. I've had this book. I got this one Look at this. Look at this cover. I got this one at a tag sale. I think I paid it 25 cents in 1980. Incredible. So I love this one. So when I found this one at Powell's, I picked up Real Energy, and Real Energy is by Phaedra and Isaac Bonowitz, and I never read it. Don't look at me like that. We all have books we've never read, but we have. So I keep pulling it off my shelf because I figure I'm never going to read it. It goes into the giveaway box. I do the last sweep before going out the front door with it, and it gets rescued. And once again, it lives. I'm going to hang on to it. I should at least read it before I decide if I'm going to keep it or not, right? The next book. This next book. This next book is right up there with Spiral Dance by Starhawk. This is one of those seminal women's studies witchcraft books. Let me see. It was women. It was a women. This one was actually categorized as women's studies, and it's Grandmother of Time by Shoshana Budapest. See this, there's that old quote. What's that old saying? We should never meet our heroes. Because now with the age of with the information age, the internet, I think it's really cool that we're able to communicate directly with authors that that were our favorites during formative years and stuff like that. I think it's amazing. Oh my God, I'm still starstruck that I'm friends with Judika Illes. It never gets old for me. Judika Illes, I have all her books, except for the new one coming out in September, which of course I'm going to get. I adore Judika. Judika is my editor, my friend, my soul sister. So it's incredible, this age we live in, that we can actually, at the very least, meet our heroes online. She disappointed me. I'm not going to go on, I'm not going to go into it here on my channel because it's not the place for that. And this is a video about books that I call off my bookshelf and then end up re-rescuing. But put it this way, she and I have very different views about society. We have very different views about gender and sexuality. So yeah, so you could just if you're curious, and I don't mean to make this titillating because it really isn't. If you want to know, I think a Google search of of her name and issues or social issues or something like that, but this book is seminal. This book, I think it's 1980. This is a book. It says the copyright is 1989. This is a women's studies, seminal women's studies. This is in that same world as the Mother Peace Tarot, which I did a video on the Mother Peace Tarot, which has always been problematic, but it still is the first feminist multicultural tarot deck, and it's round. So if I'm keeping Mother Peace Tarot, because I still think it was incredible of its time, that it was so inclusive of cultures, regardless what the issues are with that deck. I won't take it away from it. It made tarot accessible to people that weren't white. That's what I'm trying to say. Women that weren't white. This one, regardless of the fact that this author has said some things I strongly disagree with on the internet, I also recognize that she's she's an elder, and She's of her place in time. And because this book is seminal, it is iconic, it's the grandmother of time, Starhawk's spiral dance, drawing down the moon. I'm hanging on to it, even though every time I see her face, I think to myself, but why? Anyway. The next two are by, the next two also, same story. Every time I'm culling my shelves, I look at them and I think, why am I hanging on to them? They're both by Raymond Buckland, who passed away not too long ago. Was it last year? And it's not the big blue book. I don't have his big blue book that everyone that wanted to be a witch in the 90s ended up buying, and it was their handbook, which that's incredible. You know what I mean? Like, think about a body of work where you put out this big workbook or this big blue book, as people refer to it, and everybody owns a copy of it, except me. But that's because I passed mine along. I did own it at one point in the 90s. And the two books are encyclopedias. The first one is The Witch Book, the Encyclopedia of Witchcraft, Wicca, and Neo-Paganism. Why do I keep pulling it off my shelf to give it away? Well, I'm not Wiccan, and I am not a neo-pagan. So, but there's something about this book that won't let me give it away, and I didn't know what it was before. Now it's because, well, you know, Raymond Buckland's no longer with us, and so he's not going to be putting out any more books. And this one's from 2002. I got it secondhand at Powell's. I'm pretty sure it was Powell's. And it was like in the brick and mortar store in Portland. And so this was in the giveaway box. I looked at it. It looked sad. I thought, and like, you know, I flipped through it, and it's, you know, it's an encyclopedia, right? So there's like, here you have the letter G. G is for Gaia, right? Then there's a little bit, not much, but a little bit about Gaia. And garlic, garter. You know what I mean? Like, it's an encyclopedia. Can't let it go. So I'm gonna have to find, and then see, here's the issue. The reason I called my shelves is that I've run out of room for books. So now I'm gonna have to figure out where am I'm gonna have to figure out. I probably need another bookshelf for these things that I want to keep, because there's no room on my bookshelf. That's why they got called. The next one is also an encyclopedia. Oh my God. Dust. This one is also an encyclopedia by Raymond Buckland. Mamma mia. And this one is called The Spirit Book, the Encyclopedia of Clairvoyance, Channeling, and Spirit Communication. So here's the thing. There was many times I would pull this one, throw it in the giveaway box, and I would leave this one on the shelf, because I find this one entertaining. Very entertaining. I can lose myself in this one. This one is fun. It's got people, you know, you can look at people. Historical, psychic people. It's pretty cool, right? Historical mediums and all this stuff. But I would pull this one off the shelf, pop it in the giveaway box, and then this one was sad. So I'm keeping both. And I have two more. The next two books are, so I have to share something about this author. This author, my first Lenormand deck that wasn't called a Lenormand deck, but it is, was by Titania Hardy, and it was fortune telling cards. And it's been reprinted. So there's a current edition. Like if you search Titania Hardy fortune telling cards, it's a new edition. It looks somewhat different than the one I had. Kept coming into my life. I kept getting rid of it, and it kept reappearing in my life. Either someone would give it to me, I'd be at a thrift store and it would be there and it would be giving me the evil eye that I should, like, you know, freaking buy it. Because whenever I see anything metaphysical at a secondhand bookstore, at a metaphysical shop, I feel compelled to adopt them, to rescue them from their lot, and pass them along. So that Titania Hardy's fortune-telling cards had come into my life so many times I can't even tell you. Finally, I sold the last one I had. I think I sold one. Oh, I sold one. Another one came into my life. This is like the first edition. And that one I gave away. And finally, I have not run into a Titania Hardy's fortune-telling cards until it came up as a recommended on Amazon when it was reprinted. And currently it's reprinted, and I think the box is pink. It's not gold. Anyway, all this to tell you that I do have 2 books by Titania Hardy. And if you were witching in the 90s, you know who Titania Hardy is. The first book I have is really, you know, and both books keep getting, actually both books got culled 10 years ago and reappeared in a box in my garage. How that box got overlooked and was not dropped off for donation, I don't know. But I was pretty relieved not to find a deck of those Titania fortune-telling cards, which are Lenormand cards, and they creep the shit out of me. That's what I was getting at. All right, these 2 don't creep the shit out of me. But like I said, they had been culled and placed in a box, and as far as I was concerned, gone for 10 years, and they reappeared just last summer in a box in the garage. And here they are. The first one is Titania's Oracle. Clever, right? The cue for questions. And it's velvety. And I even went through the trouble of, I think it had my name in it, and then I whited it out. Hang on, I think so. I might be misremembering. No, there it is. This book belongs to, and it had my name, and now it's whited out because I had, you know, donated it. So I thought, this thing, I'm not sure. I'm guessing it's out of print, but it may be coming back because her fortune-telling cards have been reprinted. This is an oracle book. So it's got this, you know, Marion K. Tarot. Marion, she, oh, I remember seeing one of her videos where she showed that she has one of these. And basically it has these images here. There's this whole system where I think you're supposed to close your eyes and, you know, spin your finger around where you land, or you could use a pendulum. And then, but before you do that, you choose from one of these 100 questions, which pretty much covers quite a lot of ground, right? The typical fortune-telling questions people want to know about their job, their relationships. So you pick a number of the question you want to ask. You can use a pendulum or your finger with your eyes closed to select one of these images. And then the image and the number, I'm pretty sure, corresponds to this. There's a list. There's a chart. I know it sounds overly complicated, and that's probably why I don't use it. 'Cause it's not really overly complicated. But there's a chart with, here's the chart with the image and the number of the question. The image, the number of the question. So the question number is across. This is the images, signs corresponding to the answers on each page. And then you look up the page number. Spookily accurate. But, you know, so is any divination tool, right? Your divination tool is as spookily accurate as the person who goes into it with an open mind. It's velvety. She had other books also with this this beautiful velvet hardback, and they were Wicca books, like, you know, intro to this, intro to that. I can't even remember if they were called intro. But I have this one, which is the Oracle. And this one too was in that same box of stuff that I thought I had donated 10 years ago. And it's Titania's Magical Compendium, which includes all the three slimmer, smaller, velvety, except for the Oracle book. So there was this book was then split up into 3 books. We had the nice fancy hardback cover. This is very 1990s aesthetic. It's like I've kept some other. It's a coffee table book, I think, is the best way to describe it. And well, I can't bring myself to give it away. So it stays. Beautiful production value on this. Oh, I have to see what it looks like under the dust jacket. Oh, and this is what it looks like under the dust jacket. Titania's Magical Compendium. And spells, rituals to bring a little magic into your life. Very 90s. Down to even like the total 90s aesthetic. I don't know what I was thinking that I took these off the shelf, that I was going to donate them this time around when they totally survived 10 years in the garage, hiding in the garage. Yeah, they were hiding in the garage for like 10 years. And I thought I was going to give them away this time. But no, they stay. For now, all these books I just shared with you today are going to have to live in a box until I can find some shelf space for them. And yeah, so those are the books that have survived. Oh wait, I have some honorable mentions, or yeah, I guess you could call them honorable mentions. Body Reflexology is a book that I keep wanting to, move along. It's from 1983. But every time I put it in the box, I do the last sweep, I flip through it, and I realize that, yeah, I can't let it go. The next one is this groovy guy. But this was, the publisher was the Aquarian Press. The Opening of the Third Eye by Dr. Douglas Baker. Look at this cover. Pretty groovy. Again, another one. This one, I'm pretty sure I got at a tag sale when I was a teenager. And, like in the early 80s. And, oh yeah. It says 5 cents on it. And, it's from the 1970s. And, yeah. Looks like, this one is staying as well. Two textbooks is the Reflexology Manual. I don't know why I can't let it go. Probably because it has been on my shelf for like 20-something years. There's always something. I think I've referred to it a couple of times. I just felt sad letting it go. I don't know. I just felt like it wanted to stay, and because it wanted to, I think. Oh, this wanted to stay. This guy, I fished him out. It was the first book I fished out. Touch for Health textbook, and this guy wanted his friend back. So yeah. And then two that I think will end up going away, but I need to reread them first, is Qigong for Beginners and Quantum Touch. 2 books that I read when I used to work night shift and don't quite remember if they were any good. So I have to reread them before I could decide if they're going to go. I hope this video was at least entertaining. I like to see, this is the kind of videos I like to watch, where people go through their stuff and declutter. Instead of going through my stuff and decluttering, that I'd show you the stuff I decluttered that then I fished back out of the box. All right. If you're still with me, I thank you so much for hanging in there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm wishing you all a beautiful day. Bye-bye.